Hello friends, I'm Scott from Platter Talk, and today we're at our little cottage in Nowhere, Wisconsin. And I'm on a challenge this weekend. The kids are here with us. It's a beautiful, crisp autumn day, and I'm trying to do everything in the cottage this weekend. I don't want to leave for anything, so I prepared to bring food up here, and we're making a great spaghetti for dinner tonight. But I found out that I forgot to bring something for dessert, and so you know how the kids love their desserts, and so do Dan and I. So again, I'm doing what I normally do, and that's kind of forage through our pantry to see what we have and what I can do. So honestly, I'm doing something I've never done before, and that's part of the fun of baking in the kitchen. Is I'm just taking the ingredients that we have and throwing them together, and hopefully it'll come out as I expect it to. So today, when I was looking through the pantry, my item that I found was a great apple butter that Dan picked up in Mennonite country in Canada. And so I thought that this would be a great jumping or starting point for our dessert. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to make a spiced cupcake using the apple butter in it, and some spices such as cinnamon, allspice, nutmeg, that kind of thing. And then I'm going to make a very simple streusel top to put on top and throw them in the oven. So hopefully it'll come out okay. So what I've done before you join me is I started to cream together some butter and some sugar. And what I decided to do is I decided to go half white sugar and half brown sugar to kind of elevate that taste up, seeing that we're doing a spice cake here. So I have the butter and the sugar kind of creamed together. The next thing I'm going to do is take a couple of eggs, and I'm going to incorporate them into our batter. And the reason that I'm putting them into the bowl here today is just in case we have a bad egg, it's not going to hit my butter mixture and my sugar mixture. So I'm just going to do a little light mixing here. And then I'm going to incorporate this into my butter and sugar. Again, like I said, I've never done this before, and I'm going old school with everything as well. I'm not even pulling out a mixer today. I'm doing everything by hand. I'm sure my mom would be very proud of me for doing this. And I'm just going to get this egg kind of put in, or mixed in with that butter and sugar. And once I kind of have this loosely in here, I'm going to start to add a little bit of my other dry ingredients. This is a very simple cake recipe. I'm just using plain old flour, some baking powder, eggs, sugar, butter, and milk. And then we're going to elevate the taste of it by adding some spices in and some of that apple butter as well. So you can see I just have a really light, it's got a little bit looser now as far as my texture is concerned. If I had some apples, you know guys, what I would probably do is chop up some Granny Smith apple and throw it in here, because I think that would be delicious as well. But again, I'm using what I have. So just plain old flour, I'm going to start to add in here a little at a time to incorporate it. And then, as I had said as well, a little bit of baking powder, so I have a leavening agent, so I get a nice rise to this. You could definitely do this as a full cake if you wanted to. I would say you would bake it in the oven at 350 for probably about 30 minutes or so, maybe 40 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes. I would just check it. When you insert a toothpick in the center and it comes out clean, you know that your cake is done. Or I'm going to do cupcakes today, and I'm going to still bake it at 350, but I'm going to bake it for less time. I'm going to say probably between 20 to 25 minutes. Okay, so I've got my flour in here. Now I'm going to add my baking powder. Get that in here. I'm going to really just incorporate this stuff now. I'm not going to do a really heavy mixing to it because I don't want it to be tough. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding some spice to this. And so what I think I'm going to do is I want heavier on the cinnamon and a little lighter on some of the other stuff. So I'm going to do about a tablespoon or so of cinnamon. And what else did I find in our cupboards? I found some nutmeg, some cloves, and some allspice. I think I'm going to just use the nutmeg and the allspice, and I think I'm only going to use about a teaspoon or so in here. Again, you guys can do it to your taste. If you want it to be spicier, go right ahead. If you want it to be less, go right ahead. Like I said, I'm playing in the kitchen today, so I'm going to just add that in there. And then, just push that out of my way, I want to do about maybe 2 teaspoons or so, and I'm just going to use the cap as a teaspoon of vanilla. And I'm going to need about a half a cup of milk. And get that in there and get that mixed up. And then I'm going to add my apple butter as well. That should also help keep this moist. And you're probably going to ask me, how much am I going to use? I honestly don't know. I'm going to say I'm going to start with about a half a cup in here. I think that should do well to help to season this up. And it's smelling good. And that's what I do a lot with cooking, is I use my nose, and if I think that it smells like it's spiced enough, you know, it's a good starting point. I might use a little bit more of this once it gets in, but just think of the great flavors on this. As I mentioned as well, I think I'm going to do a streusel top to this, and for those of you that don't know what streusel tops are, it's really just simple. It's butter. I'm going to use brown sugar, I'm going to use a little bit of white sugar, a little bit of cinnamon, and probably a little bit of flour. And I'm going to use my hands and get dirty, and I'm going to combine that together, and then I'm going to kind of sprinkle that on top. So hopefully when it's all done, we're going to have a nice, crusty, crunchy texture to the top of these that kind of mimic the flavors on the inside. So I'm just going to go ahead and mix this together. And again, you can see I've got a nice, simple batter here. And forgive me for 1 second. It's smelling good. I think I'm going to use just a little bit more. So I'd say I'm at about 3/4 of a cup at this point. And I think I'm fine with this. I think I'm good. I'm going to just put this to the side for a second and move these out of the way. I'm going to get another bowl, and I'm going to put my butter in here. I've got about a half a cup of butter, softened. And if you scroll down to the bottom of this page, you'll find this recipe of what I've done. So I know I'm not that good today at telling you everything I'm putting in, but I got about a half a cup of butter. I'm going to put in probably about, let's say I'm going to put in about 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar. I'm going to add about 1/4 of a cup of regular sugar, and I'm going to add maybe about 1/4 of a cup of flour as well. And I think to mimic the flavors of that cupcake, I'm going to add in probably about 2 teaspoons or so of cinnamon. And you know what? We used some cloves. Let's put a little bit of cloves in there, about 1/4 teaspoon and 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. And you know what I'm going to do is just get my hands in here, and I'm going to mix this together. What I want to do, or what I'm trying to do here, is just get clumps. I want to get this to be so it's a little bit more like little balls And then this is what I'm going to put on top of the cupcake. Isn't fall great? I mean, the apples that we get at the farmers markets, pumpkin, which is my favorite for recipes as well, pumpkin soup, squash soup. We've got some great recipes on Platter Talk for squash soup as well. I mean, it's just a wonderful time of year, and it's also so much fun just to play in the kitchen, you know, as well. So I need a little bit more flour. I'm going to put in here, and I think I need a little bit more just regular sugar as well. If you wanted to, you know, sometimes with streusels you can do oats or oatmeal or something like that. That would be good to kind of put in here as well. Okay. You get my point here. And so I'm just going to put this to the side. Let me just clean up my hands real quick. And then I'm going to put the batter into the cupcake liners and then put the streusel on top. So join me in just 1 second and I will have that in there and we can finish up this recipe together. So just give me a moment here. Let's see. Let's get this out of the way and that out of the way. If you promise not to tell anybody, I'm just going to use the same half cup measuring spoon that I had for my apple butter. And I'm just going to spoon in some into my liners. I'm going to go probably about halfway up with this. I will be honest with you, again, another secret, I'm not good at this with eyeballing things, so I go a little less to begin with, and then I come back and I fill in later on if I have more batter. The thing that I would hate to do is to overfill and then get to the very end and not have enough batter. I'm hoping that I have enough here for 12 cupcakes. The other thing that I will do that my mom has taught me as a little trick is that once I get some batter in here, I'm just going to kind of pick up the tray and kind of let it drop down so the batter settles so I can actually see how much I have in here. The other thing you could do too is, let's say you didn't want to do a streusel top with this. I think that would be fine if you didn't. You could do something as simple as just a glaze of powdered sugar and milk maybe. You could do a cream cheese frosting on this, which I think would be good. So I think that, you know, you can do really kind of whatever you want. So you see what I'm doing? I'm just picking it up and dropping it down. And if you notice, Dan, if you can get a little bit closer, you'll notice that my cupcakes have kind of settled in there a little bit. So now I can see what I'm working with. And I can kind of go back in and fill those cupcakes that maybe don't have as much as the other ones do, because I do have some batter left over. I like using the liners as opposed to just greasing your cupcake pan, and you can do that if you don't have liners. You can just grease your pan, but I like this because cleanup is a lot easier. The kids can get it out as easy as they can by just taking the paper off and so forth. So there we go. We've got that going on for us. And then I think we're good. I'm just going to pick it up, and you want to try to get them to be fairly equal because that way everything bakes at the same time. I think we're looking pretty good. Put that to the side. I'm going to just even this out. And again, here's where the honesty comes in. I'm playing, you know, off the cuff here, not really knowing what I'm going to do. I'm not 100% happy with my streusel, so I think, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to turn my back, but I am going to grab some oats that we have, and I'm going to put a little bit of that in here as well, just to kind of give this streusel a little bit more texture to it. And you know what? It's all about having fun in the kitchen, right? So I'd say when I'm all said and done, I've got about a half a cup in here. Maybe you're better streusel than I am, so maybe you've got a better recipe. If you do, go ahead and send that in to us. That would be great. Now all I'm going to do is take chunks of this and put it on top. The oats should brown, the sugar should crisp, and the flavor should all melt together. It's kind of fun. Honestly, I don't know how we did it today, but the kids are outside working. We've got somebody mowing the lawn, somebody else starting a fire, there's raking going on, so I usually would say get the kids in and have them help you with this, but this is going to be a nice surprise for them and a nice treat for them as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish this. As I had mentioned before, I've got my oven preset to 350 degrees. I'm going to have these in for what I'm guessing to be between 20 to 25 minutes. I'm probably going to start checking these at around 20 minutes to see where I stand. When you insert a toothpick in the center and it comes out clean, then you know that you're done. It'd be great to hear from you guys as well as far as what your favorite fall recipes are, whether it be a dessert or a meal. I've been using my crock pot a lot lately and doing a lot of crock pot meals. I love doing that in the fall when you come home and they're all done for you. For me, pork and apple and pork and squash to me go together very well, so I've been doing that quite a bit. It'd be great to hear what your favorite recipes are, or recipes that you'd like to see us do here as well. Please feel free to put that in there. So there we go. I've got a little bit of a streusel topping, or what I hope will come out to be a streusel topping, and these will go in the oven. So I'm going to put these in the oven, as I mentioned, at 350 degrees for about 20 to 25 minutes. Thanks so much, guys. When these come out, we'll get back to you and show you how they look.